Have you ever wondered why, even after decades, the story of a small hobbit continues to touch millions of hearts around the world? Why do the words of Frodo Baggins resonate in our souls with a power that transcends generations? The answer lies in the profound wisdom he carries, a wisdom that doesn't come from books or degrees, but from the most intense experiences a being can live. Frodo wasn't a traditional hero. He didn't have muscles of steel, supernatural powers, or a noble lineage. He was just an ordinary hobbit who loved the tranquility of the Shire, books, and a good meal. But it was precisely this simplicity that made him extraordinary. Because when life called him to something greater, when destiny knocked on his door carrying the weight of the world, he didn't back down. He chose to carry a burden few could bear, and on that journey he discovered truths that can completely transform how you see life, challenges, and your own potential. Today, you're not just going to watch another video, you're going to embark on a journey of self-discovery through the eyes of someone who faced the deepest darkness and still found light. Prepare to question everything you believe about courage, hope, and purpose. Welcome to an experience that goes far beyond entertainment. My name is Your Name, and today we'll explore together the 35 deepest truths that Frodo Baggins can teach us about life, courage, and the journey of the human soul. Over the next few minutes, you will not only rediscover the magic of the Lord of the Rings, but you'll find practical and spiritual tools to transform your own journey. Each teaching we'll share today has been distilled from the most intense experience a being can live, the journey of someone carrying an impossible burden and still finding the strength to continue. You'll discover how to apply Frodo's wisdom to your relationships, your fears, your dreams, and your search for meaning. More than that, you'll understand how small, everyday choices can become acts of heroism and how true strength doesn't come from where you imagine. So find a comfortable spot, open your heart to what's to come, and prepare for a journey that may forever change how you see your own life. First, truth. Not all those who wander are lost. This is perhaps one of the deepest reflections on the human journey. Frodo teaches us that there's a fundamental difference between wandering and being lost. When you're going through a period of uncertainty, when you don't know exactly where your life is going, it doesn't mean you're lost. It means you're exploring, discovering, allowing life to lead you down paths your rational mind would never choose. How many times have you judged yourself for not having all the answers? How many times have you felt guilty for not following a linear and predictable path? Frodo shows us that some of life's greatest treasures are found precisely in the moments when we seem to be wandering aimlessly. It is in these moments that we discover our true strength, our deepest values, and our ability to adapt to the unexpected. In practice, this means learning to trust the process of life, even when it doesn't make sense at the moment. It means understanding that not having all the answers isn't a weakness but an openness to the possibilities the universe has to offer. Second truth, even the smallest person can change the course of history. Frodo teaches us that physical, size, social status, or material resources do not determine our capacity to impact the world. He was literally the smallest among the warriors, elves, and mages who surrounded him, but it was he who carried the destiny of all Middle-earth. This truth is revolutionary because it goes against everything society teaches us about power and influence. You don't need to be rich, famous, or powerful to make a difference. You don't need millions of followers or to be in prominent positions. Sometimes the simplest acts, a word of encouragement, a gesture of kindness, a courageous choice at a crucial moment, can trigger transformations you would never imagine. Think of the people who have most impacted your life. Probably many of them weren't public figures or important personalities, but ordinary people who chose to act with love, courage, or wisdom at specific moments. Frodo reminds us that each of us has the power to positively influence the world around us, regardless of our apparent limitations. Third truth. I wish it need not have happened in my time, said Frodo, but that is not for me to decide. This is one of the deepest lessons on acceptance and responsibility. Frodo expresses here a feeling we all know, the wish that our challenges were different, smaller, or non-existent. But he also acknowledges a fundamental truth. We don't choose the circumstances life presents us with, but we can choose how we respond to them. How many times have you asked yourself, why me, when facing difficulties? How many times have you wished you were born in a different time, in a different family, or with different problems? Frodo teaches us that this is wasted energy. What matters is not what happens to us, but how we choose to deal with what happens. This truth frees us from victimhood and empowers us to focus on what is truly under our control, our choices, our reactions, and our attitude towards challenges. When you stop fighting reality and start working with it, you discover inner resources you didn't even know you possessed. Fourth truth: all we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us. Frodo offers here a transformative perspective on time and purpose. Fifth truth: sharing and helping each other is what makes us stronger. Throughout his journey, Frodo never tried to shoulder the burden alone. He accepted help from Sam, the wisdom of Gandalf, the protection of Aragorn, and the support of all the members of the Fellowship of the Ring. This truth challenges the culture of extreme individualism that many of us have absorbed. Frodo teaches us that true strength doesn't come from being self-sufficient, but from knowing when to ask for help and how to offer support to others. This is a crucial lesson for our time where many people feel isolated and overwhelmed. Asking for help isn't a sign of weakness, it's a sign of wisdom. Recognizing that we need each other isn't admitting defeat, it's acknowledging our shared humanity. In practice, this means cultivating genuine relationships, being present for others in their struggles and having the humility to accept support when we need it. It means understanding that none of us were meant to live alone, and that humanity's greatest achievements have always been the result of collective efforts. Sixth truth: what's done is done, but we can still choose what to do from now on. Frodo carries with him the consequences of his choices and experiences, especially the weight of having carried the ring. But he doesn't become paralyzed by regrets or lamenting the past. This truth is liberating because it pulls us out of the vicious cycle of ruminating on past mistakes and places us in the power of the present moment. We all carry wounds, regrets, and consequences of choices we wish we had made differently. Frodo teaches us that accepting these marks of the past doesn't mean resigning ourselves or becoming victims, but rather recognizing that they are part of our story and that we still have the power to write the next chapters. This truth invites us to practice forgiveness, especially self-forgiveness, and to focus our energy on what we can still influence. It means learning from the past without being trapped by it, and using our experiences, even the painful ones, as fuel for wiser choices in the future. Seventh truth: courage is not the absence of fear, but action in spite of fear. Frodo felt fear at practically every moment of his journey. He was afraid of the Nazgul, afraid of Sauron, afraid of failing, afraid of not being strong enough, but he kept walking. This truth completely redefines our understanding of courage. Many people expect to feel courageous before acting, but Frodo shows us that courage arises in action, not before it. Fear is a natural and often useful emotion. It alerts us to dangers and keeps us vigilant. The problem isn't feeling fear, but allowing fear to paralyze us. Frodo teaches us that we can feel fear and still choose to act according to our values and purposes. In practice, this means not waiting until you feel ready to do something important. It means recognizing that fear can be a fellow traveler, but it cannot be the driver. Every time you act despite fear, you strengthen your capacity for courage in future situations. Eighth truth: there is good in this world and it's worth fighting for. Even in the face of the greatest darkness, Frodo never lost his faith in the fundamental goodness that exists in the world. This wasn't naivete, but a conscious choice to focus on what is worth preserving. In a time when we are constantly bombarded with negative news and examples of human cruelty, this truth from Frodo is especially important. It's not about ignoring problems or pretending everything is fine, but about not allowing darkness to completely eclipse our vision of the light. Frodo teaches us that when we focus only on what's wrong, we lose the motivation to keep fighting. But when we remember the beautiful things, friendship, love, generosity, art, nature, moments of genuine human connection, we find reasons to persevere. This truth invites us to be active witnesses to the goodness around us, to celebrate it, to protect it, and to contribute to it. It means choosing to be part of the solution instead of just lamenting the problems. Ninth truth. The real treasure is in the journey and the people we meet along the way. Frodo discovered that the greatest gift of his adventure wasn't reaching the end, but the extraordinary people he met and the relationships he built. Sam, Gandalf, Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli, each left a deep mark on his soul. This truth confronts our obsessive culture of results and destinations. We live so focused on getting somewhere that we forget to pay attention to the path. Frodo reminds us that life isn't just about achieving goals, but about who we become in the process and the connections we make along the way. In practice, this means being present in the experiences you are living now, instead of always projecting into the future. 10th truth. Sometimes you need to step away from what's familiar to discover who you truly are. Frodo had to leave the comfort and safety of the Shire to discover his true strength and purpose. This is a painful but necessary truth. We tend to define ourselves by familiar environments, the roles we play, and the expectations of others. But it's only when we step outside of that comfort zone that we discover our true essence. This doesn't mean you need to literally go backpacking around the world, although that can be a transformative experience. It means being willing to question your beliefs, try new perspectives, and put yourself in situations that challenge your self-perception. It might mean changing careers, ending unhealthy relationships, or simply starting to say no when you've always said yes. Frodo teaches us that growth happens at the edges of our comfort zone, not in the center of it. 11th truth. Hope is a choice, not a feeling. In the darkest moments of his journey, when all seemed lost, Frodo chose to keep hoping, not because he felt hopeful, but because he recognized that hope was necessary to continue. This distinction is crucial. Many people wait to feel hopeful before acting optimistically, but Frodo shows us it's the other way around. We act hopefully to then cultivate the feeling. Hope isn't a passive emotion that spontaneously arises. It's an active decision we make repeatedly. It's the choice to believe that the future can be better than the present, even when we have no concrete evidence of it. In practice, this means acting as if your difficult situations are temporary, even when they seem permanent. It means investing in solutions even when you don't see immediate results. It means treating people as if they are capable of change, even when they haven't shown signs of that capacity. 12th truth. True strength comes from serving something larger than yourself. Frodo found superhuman strength to continue his journey, not because he was fighting for himself, but because he was fighting for all the free peoples of Middle-earth. This truth reveals a fundamental paradox of the human condition. The more we focus on ourselves, the weaker we become. The more we dedicate ourselves to larger causes, the more strength we find. This doesn't mean sacrificing yourself to exhaustion or ignoring your own needs. It means recognizing that we are part of something bigger and that our personal fulfillment is intimately connected to the well-being of others. It could be your family, your community, a social cause, or even future generations. When you find a purpose that transcends your own comfort and success, you discover reserves of energy and determination you didn't know you possessed. Frodo teaches us that service isn't self-sacrifice, it's self-realization in its deepest form. 13th truth. Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself. Frodo had to forgive many people throughout his journey, including Boromir, who tried to take the ring, and even Gollum, who betrayed him repeatedly. But the hardest forgiveness was forgiving himself for the times he almost succumbed to the ring's power. This truth about forgiveness is revolutionary because it inverts our common understanding of the subject. Many people think of forgiveness as a favor they do for those who hurt them, but Frodo shows us that forgiveness is primarily an act of self-liberation. When you refuse to forgive, you keep yourself chained to the past, reliving the pain repeatedly. When you forgive, you free yourself to focus on the present and the future. This doesn't mean forgetting what happened or allowing harmful people to continue hurting you. It means choosing not to carry the weight of resentment, because that weight is primarily harming you. Forgiveness is a process, not a single event, and it requires practice and patience with yourself. 14th truth. Your journey is unique and shouldn't be compared to anyone else's. Each member of the Fellowship of the Ring had a different journey, with unique challenges and growth. Frodo never tried to be like Aragorn or Legolas. He accepted his own nature and found his strength within his unique characteristics. This truth is especially important in our age of social media, where we constantly compare our lives to the edited versions of others' lives. Frodo teaches us that comparison is not only futile, but destructive. You have a unique combination of talents, challenges, experiences, and opportunities that no one else in the world possesses. Your journey was designed specifically for you, and trying to copy someone else's is to waste your unique potential. This doesn't mean you can't learn from others or be inspired by their stories. It means recognizing that you have your own path to walk and your own unique contribution to make to the world. 15th truth. Simplicity is a form of wisdom. Frodo came from the Shire, a place of simple living, where people valued small pleasures, good food, close friends, nature, and tranquility. Even after his great adventure, he retained this appreciation for simplicity. This truth confronts our culture of complexity and excess. We live in a society that teaches us that more is always better: more money, more possibilities, more stimulation, more choices. But Frodo shows us that simplicity can be a conscious and wise choice. It's not about poverty or deprivation, but about clarity on what truly matters. It means focusing on the essentials and eliminating what's just noise. In practice, this might mean simplifying your schedule, reducing unnecessary options, focusing on quality relationships instead of quantity, or finding pleasure in simple experiences instead of always seeking grand thrills. 16th truth. Loyalty is one of the most precious values there is. Sam's loyalty to Frodo and vice versa was what made the success of their mission possible. Frodo deeply values loyalty, not as blind obedience, but as a genuine commitment based on love and mutual respect. This truth reminds us that in a world of disposable relationships and fleeting commitments, loyalty is a rare and precious treasure. But true loyalty isn't submission or emotional dependence. It's the conscious choice to be there for someone, through thick and thin, to keep your commitments even when it's inconvenient, and to tell the truth even when it's hard to hear. True loyalty includes the courage to confront the person when they are making harmful choices. In practice, this means being the kind of person others can count on, and also carefully choosing the people you commit to deeply. It means understanding that lasting relationships require consistent investment, not just when you're feeling good. 17th truth. Evil often disguises itself as good. Frodo learned that it's not always easy to distinguish between good and evil. The ring itself was seductive, promising power to do good, but corrupting whoever wore it. This truth alerts us to the need for constant vigilance over our own motivations and the influences we allow into our lives. Many of the worst decisions we make are justified by good intentions. Many harmful people in our lives initially present themselves as helpful or beneficial. Frodo teaches us the importance of developing discernment, of questioning motivations, including our own, and paying attention to the fruits of actions, not just stated intentions. In practice, this means being wary of solutions that seem too easy, people who promise too much, or opportunities that require you to compromise your core values. It means developing your intuition and trusting it when something doesn't feel right, even if you can't logically explain why. 18th truth. Sometimes the greatest victory is knowing when to stop. Frodo recognized when his journey in Middle-earth had come to an end and had the wisdom to depart for the undying lands. He didn't try to cling to the past or force a continuation that no longer made sense. This truth speaks to the importance of recognizing cycles and transitions in our lives. Often, we continue in situations, relationships, or projects long past the point where they've ceased to serve us, simply because it's difficult to accept that it's time to move on. Frodo teaches us that knowing when to stop is a form of wisdom, not surrender. This applies to careers that no longer fulfill us, relationships that have become toxic, projects that aren't working, or even phases of life we need to leave behind to grow. The ability to close chapters gracefully is essential to making room for new beginnings. 19th truth. Pain can be transformed into compassion. The wounds Frodo carried from his journey didn't make him bitter or cruel. They made him more compassionate towards the suffering of others. This is one of the most profound transformations a human being can experience. Pain is inevitable in life, but what we do with it is a choice. We can allow it to harden us, isolate us, and make us cynical. Or we can use it as a bridge to understand and help others going through similar struggles. Frodo shows us that our wounds can become our source of wisdom and strength to serve others. In practice, this means looking for meaning in your struggles, not just enduring them. It means using your difficult experiences to develop empathy and offer genuine support to others. It means recognizing that you may be the person others need to find, precisely because you've been through something similar and found a way to move forward. 20th truth. Humility is a source of strength, not weakness. Frodo never considered himself a hero or someone special. His humility wasn't self-deprecation, but a realistic acknowledgement of his limitations and an openness to learn and grow. This truth challenges our culture of inflated egos and constant self-promotion. Frodo teaches us that true humility isn't thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less often. It's acknowledging that you don't have all the answers, that you still have much to learn, and that your perspective is limited. Paradoxically, this humility makes him stronger because it keeps him open to feedback, growth, and collaboration with others. In practice, this means being willing to admit when you're wrong, ask for help when you need it, and acknowledge the contributions of others. It means focusing more on how you can contribute than on how you can be recognized. 21st truth. Love is stronger than fear. At all the critical moments of his journey, it was love, for Sam, for his homeland, for all free peoples, that gave Frodo the strength to overcome his deepest fears. This isn't a romantic or sentimental truth, but a practical observation about how human motivation works. Fear can paralyze us or cause us to act in reactive and destructive ways, but when our actions are motivated by love for people, for values, for purposes, we find a source of energy that is sustainable and transformative. Love gives us courage because it connects us to something larger than ourselves. In practice, this means making decisions based on what you love, not just what you fear. It means focusing on what you want to create, not just what you want to avoid. It means approaching people and situations with curiosity and care, instead of defensiveness and suspicion. 22nd truth. True wealth lies in experiences and relationships, not possessions. Frodo returned to the Shire without material treasures, but rich in experiences and relationships that transformed who he was. This truth is especially relevant in our materialistic culture. Frodo reminds us that experiences and relationships are the only things we truly possess, because they are the only things that become a part of who we are. Material possessions can be lost, stolen, or become obsolete, but the memories of meaningful experiences and the bonds of genuine love remain with us forever. In practice, this means prioritizing experiences over acquisitions, investing time and energy in meaningful relationships, and recognizing that your identity is not defined by what you own, but by who you are and how you relate to the world. 23rd truth. Every small act of kindness has an impact you may never see. During his journey, Frodo benefited from countless small acts of kindness from people he briefly encountered. He learned that these gestures, however small they may seem, can make the difference between giving up and continuing. This truth invites us to rethink our understanding of impact. Often we want to make grand gestures or be sure our actions have visible and immediate results. But Frodo teaches us that kindness works like ripples in a pond. You may not see where they reach, but they spread far beyond the initial point. A genuine smile, a word of encouragement, a helping hand, compassionate, listening. These simple acts can be exactly what someone needs to find the strength to carry on. In practice, this means not underestimating the power of small gestures and being present for daily opportunities to make a difference in the lives of those around you. 24th truth. Patience is a form of wisdom. Frodo learned that not everything can be solved quickly or forced to happen. Some transformations take time, some problems require gradual solutions, and some people need space to grow at their own pace. This truth challenges our culture of instant gratification and quick fixes. Frodo teaches us that patience is not passivity or resignation, but an active form of wisdom that recognizes the natural rhythms of life and growth. In practice, this means learning to tolerate the uncertainty and discomfort that come with processes that cannot be rushed. It means giving people the time and space they need to change, instead of trying to force or manipulate transformations. It means trusting that not everything needs to be solved immediately, and that some of the best things in life unfold slowly. 25th. Truth. You are more resilient than you think. Frodo faced challenges that seemed impossible to overcome, but he discovered reserves of strength he didn't know he possessed. This discovery happened not in the absence of difficulties, but through them. This truth is profoundly encouraging, because it reminds us that our capacity to cope with adversity is greater than our anxieties lead us to believe. Often we avoid challenges because we don't believe we have what it takes to face them. But Frodo shows us that resilience isn't something you either have or don't have. It's something you develop through experience. Every difficulty you overcome increases your confidence in your ability to handle future difficulties. In practice, this means stopping avoiding all discomfort and starting to see challenges as opportunities to discover and strengthen your resilience. It means trusting that you have inner resources you may not have yet discovered. 26th. Truth. Gratitude transforms perspective. Even in the most difficult moments, Frodo found reasons to be grateful for Sam's loyalty, for the beauty of a sunset, for a moment of rest, for a simple meal. This practice of gratitude wasn't a denial of difficulties, but a conscious choice not to allow problems to completely eclipse everything that was good in his life. Gratitude is one of the most powerful tools we have to transform our life experience. When we focus only on what's missing or what's wrong, our minds become places of scarcity and negativity. But when we actively practice gratitude, we train our minds to also see the abundance that already exists. In practice, this doesn't mean pretending everything is fine when it isn't, but it means developing the ability to simultaneously hold the awareness of problems and the appreciation for blessings. It means making gratitude a daily habit, not just something we remember on special occasions. 27th truth. True courage is sometimes being vulnerable. Frodo didn't try to be invulnerable or hide his wounds and fears. He allowed others to see his fragility, and this paradoxically made him stronger and more able to receive help when he needed it. This truth challenges our culture that equates strength with invulnerability. Frodo teaches us that hiding our vulnerabilities doesn't protect us. In fact, it isolates us and prevents us from forming genuine connections with others. Vulnerability is courage because it requires that we face the fear of rejection and judgment. But it is also the foundation of all meaningful relationships and all authentic personal growth. In practice, this means being willing to admit when you don't know something, when you're afraid, when you're hurting, or when you need help. It means sharing your true thoughts and feelings instead of always projecting a perfect image. It means choosing people to trust and allowing them to truly know you. 28th. Truth. Purpose gives meaning to suffering. Frodo didn't suffer in vain. His suffering had a clear and noble purpose. This didn't make the pain less real, but it made it bearable and meaningful. This truth doesn't suggest that we should seek suffering, but it acknowledges that it is inevitable in life, and our task is to find ways to make it meaningful. When we face difficulties without a clear sense of purpose, we tend to feel like victims of circumstance. But when we manage to connect our challenges to a larger purpose, we find the strength to persevere and grow through them. In practice, this means actively seeking meaning in your struggles. This might be the purpose of becoming a more compassionate person, of developing qualities like patience or courage, of being a role model for others, or of contributing to something larger than yourself. Purpose doesn't eliminate suffering, but it transforms it from something destructive into something constructive. 20th ninth. Truth. Nature is a source of healing and wisdom. Frodo had a deep connection with nature and often found peace and perspective in moments when he connected with the natural world. This truth acknowledges something our urban, technology-driven culture often forgets. We are part of nature, not separate from it. Nature offers a perspective that helps us see our problems in a larger context. It teaches us about cycles, renewal, interdependence, and the beauty that can arise even in the harshest conditions. In practice, this means making connection with nature a regular priority, not just an occasional thing. It could be a walk in the park, tending a garden, stargazing, or simply sitting outdoors. It means recognizing that time in nature isn't a luxury, but a necessity for our mental and spiritual health. 30th truth. Change is inevitable, but growth is a choice. Frodo didn't return to the Shire the same person who had left. His experiences transformed him profoundly, and he had to choose how to integrate those changes into his life. This truth acknowledges that while we can't avoid the changes life throws our way, we can choose how we respond to them. We can allow changes to make us bitter and cynical, or we can use them as opportunities for growth and wisdom. Change and growth aren't the same thing. Change is what happens to us. Growth is what we do with what happens to us. In practice, this means approaching life's transitions with curiosity instead of just resistance. It means asking, what can I learn from this? Instead of just, why is this happening to me? It means seeing changes as opportunities to discover aspects of yourself you didn't know existed. 31st. Truth. True leadership is serving others. Frodo led by example and service, not through command or coercion. His authority came from his willingness to bear the heaviest burden and always put the common good above his own comfort. This truth completely redefines our understanding of leadership. True leadership isn't about power over others, but about responsibility for others. It's not about being followed, but about forging paths. It's not about being served, but about serving. In practice, this means we all have opportunities for leadership, regardless of our formal position. It means leading by example, being the kind of person you'd want others to be. It means taking responsibility for creating environments where others can thrive. It means being willing to do the hard work others avoid, not out of martyrdom, but out of genuine concern for the common good. 32nd truth. Wisdom often comes through experience, not theory. Frodo learned the most important lessons of his life, not through books or advice, but through the intense experiences he lived during his journey. This truth acknowledges that while theoretical knowledge is valuable, real wisdom is developed. Through the practical application of that knowledge in real life, you can read hundreds of books about courage, but you only develop real courage by facing situations that demand courage. You can study about relationships, but you only learn to truly love through the practice of loving real people with all their imperfections. In practice, this means not just consuming information, but actively seeking out experiences that challenge and grow you. It means being willing to make mistakes and learn from them instead of trying to avoid all risks. It means valuing both reflection and action. 33rd. Truth. Forgiveness is not forgetting, but choosing not to be defined by what was done to you. Frodo forgave Gollum repeatedly, but that didn't mean he forgot the dangers or completely let his guard down. Forgiveness was a choice not to allow Gollum's actions to define who Frodo was or determine his own actions. This distinction is crucial for a healthy understanding of forgiveness. Forgiving doesn't mean pretending something bad didn't happen, nor does it mean you must trust someone who hurt you again, nor that you shouldn't set boundaries to protect yourself. Forgiving means choosing not to carry the poison of resentment, because that poison primarily harms you. It means not allowing the actions of others to determine who you will be. In practice, this might mean forgiving someone and still choosing not to have that person in your life. It might mean forgiving and still maintaining healthy boundaries. Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself, not a blank check for others to continue hurting you. 34th. Truth. The inner journey is as important as the outer journey. As Frodo traveled physically across Middle-earth, he was also undertaking a profound journey within himself, discovering his own capabilities, limitations, and deepest values. This truth acknowledges that every external journey is also an opportunity for internal exploration. The challenges we face in the outside world are mirrors that show us aspects of ourselves we might not have known. In practice, this means approaching your life experiences with self-awareness and reflection. It means asking not just, what is happening to me, but also, what is this revealing about who I am? It means using the events of your life as opportunities for self-discovery and personal growth. It means recognizing that you are always in the process of becoming who you truly are. 35th. Truth. The end of one journey is always the beginning of another. When Frodo left for the Undying Lands, it wasn't an end, but a transition to a new phase of existence. He understood that life is made of cycles and that every ending is also a new beginning. This final truth from Frodo offers us a transformative perspective on transitions and changes in our lives. Often we live in fear of endings, end of relationships, end of careers, end of life stages. But Frodo teaches us that endings are also openings to new possibilities that couldn't exist before. In practice, this means approaching endings with grace and openness, instead of just resistance and fear. It means trusting that when one door closes, others may open. It means recognizing that you are always evolving, and that who you were yesterday doesn't limit who you can become tomorrow. We've reached the end of this extraordinary journey through the deepest truths Frodo Baggins can teach us. But just as Frodo's journey didn't end when he returned to the Shire, his journey of personal transformation doesn't end when this video does. In fact, it's only just beginning. Each of these 35 truths is a seed that has been planted in your consciousness today, but seeds only grow when they are watered with action, reflection, and consistent practice. Knowledge without application is just entertainment, but knowledge applied with dedication and purpose transforms into wisdom, and wisdom transforms into a life of deep meaning and positive impact. Think for a moment about which of these truths resonated most deeply with your heart. Which one brought that feeling of profound recognition, as if it was something your soul already knew, but your mind had forgotten? That's the truth you should start with. Don't try to implement them all at once, because that's a recipe for frustration and abandonment. Choose one, just one, and commit to living it fully for the next 30 days. Allow it to become a part of who you are before adding another. The true magic of Frodo's wisdom isn't in its complexity, but in its profound simplicity. He shows us that we don't need to be perfect, extraordinarily talented, or free from fear to make a difference in the world. We just need to be willing to take one step at a time, to carry our share of the burden, and to keep our hearts open to the goodness that still exists in the world, even when everything seems dark around us. Today, you have the opportunity to become the hero of your own story. Not the kind of hero that appears in movies, with superpowers and steel muscles, but the kind of hero Frodo was. An ordinary person who chooses to do extraordinary things because they need to be done. Someone who feels fear, but acts anyway. Someone who carries wounds but doesn't allow them to define their capacity to love. Someone who recognizes that their journey is unique and precious, and that they have a unique contribution to make to the world. The world today needs more people like Frodo, people who choose courage over comfort, compassion over cynicism, hope over despair, people who understand that small acts of kindness can change the course of history, people who know that not all, those who wander, are lost, and that each of us, however small we may seem, has the power to positively influence the world around us. Your journey doesn't need to be epic to be meaningful. It doesn't need to be grand to be transformative. It just needs to be yours, authentic, courageous, and filled with love for the things that truly matter. When you live this way, when you apply these truths to your daily life, you not only transform your own experience, but you become a force of positive transformation for everyone fortunate enough to cross your path. Before you go off to apply these truths to your life, I have a special request for you. If this content touched your heart, If these words planted seeds of transformation in your soul, share this experience with someone you love. Because wisdom, like light, multiplies when it's shared. And maybe, just maybe, you are exactly the person someone in your life needs to meet today. Someone who can show them that there's a different way to live, a more courageous, more loving and more meaningful way. Leave a comment below telling us which truth impacted you the most and how you plan to apply it to your life. Your journey of transformation can inspire someone else's journey. And if you haven't already joined our community of people who believe in the power of timeless wisdom to transform modern lives, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because we have much more transformative wisdom to share with you. Remember, you're not just watching videos about personal transformation. You're becoming the kind of person who can carry light into a world that sometimes seems very dark. You're preparing to be someone others can trust, someone who offers hope when others feel despair, someone who chooses love when it would be easier to choose fear. The journey continues and you're not walking alone. Until our next conversation, may you carry with you the courage of Frodo, the loyalty of Sam, and the certainty that your life, your journey, and your contribution to this world are precious and necessary. The world is waiting for what only you can offer. It's time to begin the journey.